Let's talk boards. Let's just let this bitch roll. I am an average surfer. I was a swimmer, so I can kind of paddle, but I also have had double shoulder surgery. So we're gonna keep it real here. Waves are really fast. A lot of them are really slabby, and most of them go into pretty dry reef areas. What I realize is that the longer board that I have is kind of tricky to like whip around and turn quickly into a barrel. So I've actually liked riding my classic shortboard the most. So I'm 5'11", 195 pounds, average to intermediate surfer. Just trying to do my best to get barreled here. And I have a Pyzel Phantom. It's 6'2", 36 liters with large fins. And the big thing that I noticed on the Phantom and kind of in this like ghost family that Pyzel has is a lot of the foam is in the chest. And I felt like that helps a lot for paddling here. And that's a huge difference of trying to get into some of these like slabby barrel waves earlier. And again, just trying to do my best surfing, but it's hard. I'm a very average surfer. The second board I have is a Lost Mayhem Sako. Yeah, 6'6", 37.75 liters. And it's a lot more narrow than my Phantom. Big thing that I noticed is that there's not as much volume up underneath the chest. So getting into waves, I don't feel as big of a difference as I thought that I would, but because it's a little bit longer, more narrow, it's just straight line speed into these barrels. Yeah, it's good. It's super fast, super straight line, but I think for some of the really big days, it would be amazing, but I'm gonna keep it real. I just don't think I'm a good enough surfer for those big days. We had like a proper 8 to 10 foot day where our surf guide and like guys like Jackson Dorian were just scoring out there, but I was pretty rattled after some bad falls, so I wasn't able to take full advantage of it, you know. Another thing is I would absolutely suggest training before coming here because like you're gonna be surfing nonstop, one, but two, you don't wanna be in bad shape, missing potentially the wave of your life. I had the wave of my life last night in like a glowing green sunset barrel in and out, unreal vision, and I think that I honestly could have had more if I was in better shape. All right, the last board I brought is a 6'8", mid-length kind of egg ghost shape. I've been riding this thing a bunch in Hawaii and it's super fun. And at the intermediate waves here, it's pretty nice, especially front side where you can see what's going on. But I don't think I would recommend this unless you're like a true intermediate. Then you're going to be sticking to those full-blown intermediate waves. But because we've been going to the more advanced waves, this board hasn't really been the choice. And with that being said, I think I'm pretty happy with my board choices. But the only thing that I would say is because the waves are fast, you might want a little shorter board. So if I would switch out any of my boards, I would have actually probably brought a short 5'10", 6'0" fish with a lot of volume. Paddles really fast, gets into waves really easily, and then it's just really fast down the line because a lot of the waves are really fast here. So that would help. That would be really fun. Blowing some big turns on a fish would be super fun, but that would also save you space and probably weight too. And shockingly, I have a 6'6" DB Journey bag, and this 6'8" mid-length actually fits in it. So pretty nuts. Hopefully that helps on the boards. If you have questions, ask me in the comments. Happy to help. The last thing that we've been doing is foiling. Personally, I don't foil. I'm trying to learn, but they told me a shorter mast is going to be better because you're going to be in all the shallow reef area and then also a wider front and back wing. So then that way you don't have to pump so much because we've been foiling at these sandbars and they've been linking this backwash back and forth, but they have to do a lot of pumping going back and forth. So bigger wing in the front, bigger wing in the back, shorter mast, don't hit the bottom. If you are someplace where you can get towed into a wave, they suggest a smaller one, and then you could just get towed into like these big rollers on the outside. The crew that foils has been wanting to do that, but we haven't done that yet. So I would actually suggest just going with the bigger, wider one, shorter mast. That's the move. Okay. Oh, there we go. Let's talk about what to pack clothes-wise. First off, it's super hot here, and honestly, you're going to sweat through your clothes like I have. I'm kind of a sweaty dude, honestly. I just sweat through my clothes like crazy, so you know, it is what it is. On a positive note, they do have laundry, which you do pay for, but it's like really cheap because Indonesia. We're 7 of 10 days into our trip right now, and I did pay to have laundry done, so then that way I can have clean clothes for about my like 40-hour trip home. So you can't do that. That is an option like halfway through your week, but it takes a couple days for it to dry because they don't have dryers here, and it's so hot and humid, so line drying takes a few days. So I have 3 pairs of non-surf shorts, and honestly, I wish I had a 4th pair. And it's just because I've like kind of sweat through them, and I'm just constantly wet, or it's like rain on them, and they're this like lycra material, so they get kind of stinky. So I have maybe 6 or 7 shirts, mix of long sleeve and short sleeve, and I sweat through them pretty much all 7 days in right now at this point. And so might be worth bringing more clothes, but again, because they have laundry, is it worth bringing more shirts or not? I don't know. 100% bring a hat, or even one that like wraps around your whole head. You know, like you might feel kooky, but you should protect yourself from the sun here, because being near the equator, it's no joke. It is super strong. Some of the people in our group, they've been sunburnt the back of their legs. So they're talking about how they wish that they had tights on and stuff like that. I lost my main pair of sunglasses, so now I have my Bali party shades. That's pretty much it. You definitely need a lot of sunscreen, body sunscreen, all that amazing face sunscreen. I use Vertra, the zinc, making sure that it's all reef friendly so that you're not being a nuisance on the reef and the ecosystem here. And a lot of it's going to be national park soon, so you definitely want to help preserve it because it's so beautiful out here. This one's kind of funny, but I've always hated those like UPF rashguard shirts. I've always felt like they just remind me of like little kids or the East Coast. I hate to admit it, but they're a lifesaver out here. Like, you're going to get baked if you don't have one of those. And the one that I have is actually hooded with like a little bill, which is pretty cool. But what happens is, like, if you get caught inside and you have all this water in your ears, it kind of ruins your like equilibrium, kind of a sense of where you are. So if you're getting pounded on the inside, like I've had to just rip the hood off a couple times here. So I think coming back, I would probably get one without a hood, actually. Some people love the hood. I didn't. You know, I think it's just a personal preference thing. You absolutely do not need a wetsuit. I brought a 2 mil spring suit because I get jock itch when I shoot surfing. You know, it happens. It sucks. You're kicking your legs, moving them a lot, so you get jock itch. And so I know how the temperature is in Bali, and that's where we were first. And I thought it would be the same here, but it's not. It's so much warmer here in the water, so you absolutely do not need a 2 millimeter spring suit. My fix has actually been those kind of bougie rip curl board shorts that have the liner inside of them. And yeah, that's been saving me on the days that I've been shooting for the most part. I got those like half off, but I would never buy those normally. But great choice coming into here. This is gonna sound crazy, but I actually might just buy a jammer if I come back and shoot a bunch here. So then that way I don't have any drag or anything like that. It's just so hot. Fuck it. Maybe I'll just wear a Speedo. All right, the last funny one. Should you wear reef booties? You can wear reef booties, and it would have probably have saved my feet a lot because my feet are wrecked right now. You saw earlier. But if someone sees you in the lineup wearing reef booties, they're gonna be like, that guy's a kook, and they're gonna burn you. I'm already struggling enough as is, as a very average surfer here, getting waves, stuff like that. So imagine me in reef booties, I don't think I'd even get a freaking wave. With that being said, depending on the time of the year you're here, the crowds are gonna be a lot heavier or lighter. Unfortunately, we're here in the middle of peak season with a massive swell. So it's pretty high-end, intermediate to advanced surfers, and the crowds have been pretty thick so far because there's only been a handful of spots in play. All right, that is a day in the life here at Alaya. And if you're a camera nerd like me, keep watching. But if you made it this far, please like, subscribe, and comment on the video if you have any questions. And hopefully this helped answer a lot of questions for you like I had. And honestly, was the 50 hours of travel worth it? And then you stay a night in a hotel in Padang, and then you boat here. And honestly, it's hard. It's not an easy place to travel to, but it's absolutely worth it. It's a true adventure getting here, and cannot recommend more. Check it out, especially Alaya. These guys have been great. Small groups, incredible. So, all right, on to photography. Most people probably can't relate to this because seriously, how many of this are there? There's really not that many water photographers in the world. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. But let's run through the camera gear that I brought with me. And honestly, I brought way too much camera gear. There's no need to bring this much. So I'm gonna try to help save you some weight in your carry-on, in your checked luggage, especially if you're taking a shitty airline like AirAsia or Jetstar, like I did. And you can't have all that weight. So first off, I'm using the AquaTech Edge Pro water housing with the new side grips on it. If you want 5% off items from AquaTech, I am an AquaTech ambassador, just using my code Connor5. It's pretty handy. It also works during sales, so just heads up. That's also a way to support me because I do get commission on it. I'll be totally honest. And so if you want to throw me a little bone, I guess, a little bonus, just use my code every time you buy from AquaTech, even if it's $5. That's pretty sick. And I really appreciate that. I've been testing the new rectilinear Canon 10-20 f4 lens since I've been here. It's been really fun. Like, the waves line up really well here because they're so slabby for the fisheye, and depending on if the current's going up or going down, there's not a whole ton of current, but the barrel's super wide here. There's not really any other water photographers, so it's pretty easy to get sick fisheye shots and not feel bad about like getting in anyone's way like I do at Pipeline. The 10-20 has been sweet though. Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna make a whole other video on the 10-20, so you should check that out if you're into figuring out if you want to use that lens or not. I've also been using the GoPro attachment from AquaTech. The reason I'm using the attachment instead of a sticky mount is because I actually had the GoPro get ripped off at Pipeline earlier this year, and so I'm sticking to the tried and tested mount on there, and also with the pistol grip so I can go one-handed in the barrel, right-handed, left-handed. So I've been practicing while I've been here. So it's been fun shooting fisheye. That was with a GoPro 12 Black, and I cannot wait for the 13 to come out soon. I've been using the fins. I use little pads on the back so then they fit my feet a little bit better. They've got great flex to them. The other port not shown here is my Canon 24-105 port, and I have my Canon 24-70 and my 24-105 with me. Honestly, I don't think you need either of those lenses here because the port is so big from AquaTech, and like it's my favorite port to use back in Hawaii, but it's pretty big for traveling around the world, so I don't necessarily recommend it. I would actually suggest just bringing a 15-35 or a 10-20 for like one wide lens, and a 50 prime or a 24-70 if you really want to. Then also the 50 port is just so much more compressed, and so you're dealing with like one small dome and one like small flat port. That should fit in your carry-on no problem. Where mine is pretty uncomfortable trying to fit it into a backpack, I'm pretty worried about breaking it. So hopefully it doesn't break. I'm sorry you're hearing this, AquaTech. I'm pretty rough on my gear. Touching back on that 15-35, I would bring a circular polarizer here because the highlights and everything are crazy, but they have really rich blue with these really cool palm trees everywhere, and you want to take advantage of that the best that you can. So I definitely recommend a circular polarizer. I have a 70-200 with me, and honestly, the 70-200 is not enough to shoot with. At most spots here, you'd want like a 150-600 or a 100-500, 100-400. I've been using that a ton. So 3 lenses that you should bring: 15-35, 16-35, 50 prime, 1-500. And I think you're more than set for all of your lenses, water needs, land needs, etc. A big reason of why I brought the other stuff is because I went to Bali first and we were doing some photo shoots there for a bikini company. So I brought extra lenses and I just wasn't sure what I wanted to use, and I really didn't think it through too much. I wish I did think it through a little bit more, but we're keeping it real with you. Do you need to bring a tripod? If you're here shooting professionally, you're getting paid to shoot, yeah, a tripod is a great idea. Getting on the land. Getting on the land is kind of a pain for a lot of these spots though, especially when it gets really big. So honestly, you're probably going to be on a boat anyway, so save the weight. Don't bring a tripod. There's no need. I kind of regret bringing one, even though I'm literally using it to talk to you right now. But I think I'm going to leave it with Dave, the Alaya owner, because he's a homie. Oh, the drone shots here are crazy. Like, the palm trees mixed with this crazy Gatorade blue water and just great slabby waves. It's been really fun to shoot. I'm using a Mavic 3 Cine. And the reason that I brought a Mavic 3 is because I'm shooting a lot of foiling here and I needed a faster drone to keep up with the foilers. But if you're just coming here for fun, I 10 out of 10 recommend like a Mini 4 Pro. That's gonna be more than enough drone to keep you happy here. It's the size of your phone, and yeah, it's all you really need. Yeah, Mini 4 Pro, keep it small. And a big reason of keeping all these things small is because you're gonna be getting on and off boats constantly. You don't wanna ruin your gear. And like for me, because I'm hauling such big equipment constantly, sometimes I'm making that choice of, oh, do I bring a drone or do I bring like 3 or 4 different lenses? And I don't like having to make that choice. I wanna be able to bring it all. That brings me to my next point. You should absolutely bring a Pelican case or a hard case that seals with the water. if you bring a backpack on these kind of pontoon boats, it's gonna get wet, your gear's gonna get wet. You're always freaking soaked out here, it's always wet, it's so humid. Your gear is going to get soaked, honestly. So bring a Pelican, and with that, you should also bring the dry packets, so then that way you can place them in all of your gear, try to dry out your gear as best as possible. I wish that I brought more cleaning alcohol wipes too for my gear to like wipe all the salt spray down at the end of each day. So I definitely recommend doing that more than I did, and bringing a sensor cleaning kit because of the wind and everything that's blowing around here is always a good idea. What about sound? I'm using the DJI Mic 2s right now. I brought them because I was doing this vlog. I don't know, I kind of like this like funny little mic. So the mic is fun for me, but I think that you could get away with just bringing a shotgun mic, and that's what I would suggest doing, especially if you use a newer Canon or the Sony's, using a shotgun mic without an input, because there's so much spray and moisture here. You don't want all that extra moisture getting into your camera if you can prevent it. Other camera gear. Oh, make sure you get these international charging blocks for all of your gear, stuff like that. I'm sure you know that coming here, but you know it's worth mentioning. Oh, and lastly, I think just bring goggles. I bring those and I put toothpaste in them. That way they don't fog up. It's been really fun. If you're worried about the really shallow reef here too, shooting, make sure you bring a helmet, even though I know it's kind of cumbersome to pack. So yeah, good luck to you, my fellow photographers trying to go on a surf trip. It's always such a pain in the ass packing 3 surfboards, 2 bags for camera gear, and then also trying to fit in all my clothes and all that. I think I had like 80, 90 pounds, something like that total in all my gear, if not more. So it's a process. I feel for you all. And yeah, hopefully this was super helpful though. I had a lot of questions coming into here, like what's it really like? Hopefully this answers it all. And please, yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you have any questions. Happy to answer it all.